What you got to say about it, Colin, partner?
The coach and the GM didn't want to draft Shedeur Sanders. And they did in the 5th round, 2 rounds after Dylan Gabriel. And he's crushing it. He's their best quarterback in camp. Colin, he's facing backups. Yeah, he's throwing to him as well.
That's real.
Sometimes you stumble into success. It's not a straight line. It's not linear. Brady with the Patriots, Brock Purdy to the Niners, Kurt Warner to the Rams. It's not always a straight line. So the staff, because they picked, and the GM, because they picked Dylan Gabriel 3rd round and Shedeur 5th, they're giving Dylan Gabriel most of the first-team reps.
Picture this. A 5th-round draft pick that coaches didn't even want is now making the entire Cleveland Browns organization question everything they thought they knew about evaluating quarterbacks. While Dylan Gabriel gets first-team reps because he was their chosen one from the 3rd round, Shedeur Sanders is quietly putting up video game numbers in practice. 34 of 44 completions, 77% accuracy, 9 touchdowns to just 1 interception. But here's the kicker that's got everyone in Cleveland shook. This isn't just about arm talent. Sources are saying Shedeur's football IQ and game intelligence in the huddle is making veteran coaches do double takes, wondering how they almost missed out on their franchise quarterback. You know what's crazy about this whole situation? We're witnessing one of those moments that separates the real ones from the pretenders. And I'm about to break down exactly why Shedeur Sanders isn't just outplaying expectations. He's rewriting the entire narrative about what it takes to be a franchise quarterback in today's NFL. Let me paint you the picture of what's really going down in Cleveland right now. You've got a coaching staff and front office that are literally watching their carefully laid plans get turned upside down by a kid they didn't even want. Think about that for a second. They spent a 3rd-round pick on Dylan Gabriel, gave him all the first-team reps, and then watched a 5th-rounder come in and make them look foolish. But here's where it gets interesting. And this is what separates the wheat from the chaff in this league. It's not just that Shedeur is completing passes. Anybody can do that against air in practice. It's how he's doing it. We're talking about a quarterback who's processing information faster than guys who've been in the system longer. He's reading defenses like he's been studying film with Kevin Stefanski for years, not months. You want to know what's got these coaches really shook? It's the little things that don't show up in those practice stats everyone's talking about. I'm hearing about how Shedeur is calling audibles at the line, how he's recognizing blitz packages before they even develop, how he's putting the ball in spots that make his receivers look better than they actually are. That's not something you can teach. That's football intelligence, and you either have it or you don't. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, college production. Everyone wants to compare what these guys did in college, but that's like comparing apples to rocket ships. Dylan Gabriel was throwing to future NFL receivers at Oregon, protected by future NFL linemen, in one of the most quarterback-friendly systems in college football. Meanwhile, Shedeur was dodging defenders behind a Colorado offensive line that looked like it was held together with duct tape and prayers. But here's what's beautiful about what we're seeing in Cleveland. It's the great equalizer. Same coaching, staff, same protection, same receivers, same defense. It's like putting 2 kids in the same classroom with the same teacher and seeing who actually learned the material. And right now, Shedeur is making Dylan Gabriel look like he was just coasting on talent his whole college career. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of those stories you hear about Tom Brady in his early days or Joe Montana coming out of nowhere. These guys who had to fight for everything, who had to prove themselves every single day, who couldn't rely on just pure physical gifts. They developed something different. They developed that killer instinct, that football IQ that you can't manufacture. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Shedeur right now. This kid isn't just playing quarterback. He's conducting a symphony out there. I'm hearing from people inside that building that when Shedeur steps in the huddle, the energy changes. Guys start believing. The offensive line starts blocking harder because they know he's going to find the open man. The receivers start running routes crisper because they know the ball is going to be where it needs to be. But let's keep it real for a second. This isn't just about football talent. This is about organizational politics, and that's where things get really spicy. Word is that ownership pushed for the Shedeur pick while the coaching staff and GM wanted Gabriel. So now you've got this awkward situation where the kid ownership wanted is outplaying the kid the football people wanted. How do you think that's playing out in those front office meetings? The crazy part is watching how this is all unfolding in real time. Colin Cowherd and other analysts are already talking about how sometimes you stumble into success, how it's not always linear. He mentioned Brady with the Patriots, Brock Purdy with the Niners, Kurt Warner with the Rams. All guys who weren't supposed to be the answer but ended up changing everything. And that's what's happening in Cleveland right now. You've got Joe Flacco, who they're probably going to start because he's the safe choice. He can take the hits from the media. He's the veteran presence. But everyone in that building knows what's coming. They know that eventually, when Joe Flacco hits that wall that Father Time puts up for every quarterback, they're going to have to make a decision about their future. Here's what's really got me fascinated about this whole situation. It's not just about the numbers, although those numbers are insane. 77% completion percentage in practice, 9 touchdowns to 1 interception, against the same defense that's making other quarterbacks look ordinary. That's not luck, that's systematic domination. But the real story is in the details that don't make it to the stat sheet. I'm hearing about how Shedeur is helping younger players understand concepts, how he's staying after practice to work on timing with receivers, how he's in the film room asking questions that show he understands not just his job, but everyone else's job on the field. That's quarterback leadership, and it's something you can't fake. You either have that natural ability to make everyone around you better, or you don't. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is showing that he has it in spades. You want to know what's really wild about this? The same people who said Shedeur was too flashy or had too much gold are now eating their words. They said he was his daddy's son and not his own man. They questioned whether he was league ready. But sometimes the universe has a funny way of humbling people who judge too quickly. Because here's the thing about Shedeur Sanders. Everything he went through at Colorado, all that adversity, all those games where he had to make magic happen, with nothing around him, that wasn't just building character. That was building a quarterback who could thrive under pressure, who could make something out of nothing, who could see the field differently than guys who always had everything handed to them. And now that he's in a professional environment where he actually has protection, where he has coaches who know what they're doing, where he has receivers who can actually catch, he's not just surviving, he's thriving. He's showing that all those flashes we saw at Colorado weren't flukes. They were previews of what was coming. The writing is on the wall in Cleveland, even if they're not ready to admit it yet. Kenny Pickett isn't the future. Everyone knows that. Joe Flacco is a placeholder. Everyone knows that too. Dylan Gabriel might have been the plan, but plans change when reality comes knocking. And reality is telling them that their franchise quarterback was sitting there in the 5th round all along. That what's beautiful about this story is that it's still being written. We haven't even seen these guys in preseason games yet, and already the narrative is shifting. Already people are starting to whisper about whether the Browns stumbled into something special with that 5th round pick. But here's what I know about quarterbacks who have that special something. They don't just beat you with their arm. They beat you with their mind. They see things before they happen. They make everyone around them better. They have that intangible quality that turns good teams into great teams. And from everything I'm hearing out of Cleveland, Shedeur Sanders has all of that and more. The accuracy is there, the arm strength is there, but most importantly, the football IQ is there. That's what's got coaches stunned. That's what's got people in that organization starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, they found their guy in the most unlikely place. The clock is ticking on this whole situation. Every practice, every rep, every moment where Shedeur shows that football intelligence that can't be taught, it's all building toward an inevitable conclusion. The Browns might have thought they were getting a developmental prospect in the 5th round, but what they actually got was their franchise quarterback. So here's my question for you. In a league where quarterback is everything, we're finding the right guy can change your entire franchise. How do you ignore what's happening right in front of your face? How do you keep giving first-team reps to the guy who was supposed to be the answer when the real answer is standing right there, making everyone around him better? The Browns have a chance to get this right, but only if they're brave enough to trust what their eyes are telling them. Only if they're willing to admit that sometimes the best quarterback isn't the one you planned on, but the one who shows you he belongs. What do you think? Is Shedeur Sanders about to pull off one of the biggest quarterback surprises in recent NFL history? Or are the Browns going to stick with their original plan and miss out on something special?